But for the guys, if you don't want to have a pretty honest conversation when it's both good and bad, it's not going to be a very comfortable place for you, both as a coach and certainly as a player. It's just great things take time, and everyone will find the right fit. Things work out the way they're meant to work out. It's certainly something we've seen with how our rosters come together here at Santa Clara. The right people get to the right place.
What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? This is Switch Up Sports, and we have another awesome coach interview for you today. We've got Coach Andrew at Santa Clara, and I'm not wasting any more time. We're jumping right into it. We're jumping right into the interview, get to know more about him in the program. Let's bring him on now. Coach Andrew, how's it going this morning? How you doing?
I'm great. Thanks for having me.
Of course, I'm super excited to get to know more about you. So I'm going to start it off with the super loaded question, and then you can swing it whichever one of these you want or weave them all together. How'd you even get started into golf? Comboed with how are you coaching golf? And then how'd you get up or how'd you end up at Santa Clara?
Yeah, so I started in golf, kind of followed my older brother into it. He started playing kind of in his early teen years, and kind of whatever he did sports wise, I kind of followed him into it. And was one of those sports that, luckily, kind of from the first time I picked up a club, was, fairly decent at it. And I, enjoyed being good at things. And kind of once that kind of clicked with, my personality being very kind of like task oriented and wanting to kind of solve problems, was a perfect fit game wise. So kind of kept going with it, and was something that luckily, talent gave me the opportunity to go play in college. And then as I was finishing up my college career, kind of lucked into coaching a little bit. I was going to turn pro, needed to have hip surgery right towards the end of my college career, and knew I was going to kind of delay the start of my pro career by at least a few months while I was rehabbing. And the athletic director at my alma mater, Jamie Hoffman, offered me, to take over the head coaching job as our program was in transition while I was rehabbing for that first year. And decided to give it a shot and coach the college team that I just played for, and kind of fell in love with it after 3 years doing that while I was playing professionally full time as well. Just kind of loved the recruiting side. Ended up kind of falling in love with the program building side. And my last year at Oxy built a practice facility, and some of the success we had at Occidental took me to UCLA, and I went to UCLA for 5 years as the assistant coach. And then after 5 years at UCLA, and helping that program, and having some great success as a team and individual success on the course, Santa Clara came calling and gave me an opportunity to be a Division I head coach for the first time, and was a school and a program I always really liked. I actually took a recruiting visit to Santa Clara during my high school career as well, and always remembered the school. And kind of the it was a perfect opportunity for me to take the next step as a head coach and stay in California, and really kind of had everything I wanted as a golf program to see what the potential could be for this place going down the road.
Heck yeah, that's awesome. And it just sounds like yours just like these nice little building blocks that you're able to kind of have and connect all along the way. So if you were following your brother in some other sports, I'm guessing you guys probably played other sports other than golf. What other things were you guys playing?
We played pretty much everything. I mean, I actually played two college sports. So I played soccer as well at Occidental. In high school, early in high school, I think I played 4 or 5 varsity sports. I played water polo for a little while, some summer league basketball, messed around kind of with the baseball team for a little bit, just did a little of everything. He was kind of very similar. And then as you got later in high school, then started looking at college, continued to thin out what we were doing more than anything. But for us, I think, in our household, at least, soccer and golf were the two big sports. And I had a huge passion for soccer. One of my biggest mentors in, life and certainly in coaching, Rod Lafferty was, my high school coach, ended up becoming my college coach late in my college career as well in soccer. So soccer was something I was always really passionate about, and continue to this day to, at least still watch it, not going to be on the field at all anymore.
Yeah, I feel you on that one. There's a nice added like, hey, I'm gonna be in this season and like it involves different skills and like there's different techniques and there's other things that you can pick up that you just don't learn. I mean, playing water polo is ridiculous. The underwater wrestling, the intentional, I'm trying to drown you to a degree. I love watching it. I wouldn't like to play it, but is there other elements that you bring in from those sports that you more especially use in your coaching today?
Yeah, I mean, I think the big one that, at least in college golf, that certainly bring in is really kind of a team culture and a team environment. I think it's one of the big things that really motivated me to play, two college sports. I love being on a team. I had some really, really good, high school soccer teams coming through the end of my career, both from the success we had on the field, but there was some amazing camaraderie amongst those teams. And when I got to college, I mean, college golf is certainly a team, but there's very much still an individual element of how you need to go about your business and how the programs need to be kind of aligned to help each individual. When I really wasn't ready to kind of leave that team element of everything, and I think that's still something that even to this day I bring with me a lot. I think there does need to be kind of specialization in the sports and in the individual coaching element of everything, but definitely I want to run a team culture that everyone's aligned and kind of moving in the same direction. And that's something I think I take with me from my soccer career without a doubt, is that it's got to be the sum of kind of a big part more than anything else.
Right. So then for you guys, let's kind of just go full golf, full kind of a different semi angle. So what things are you guys looking at when it comes into like practice for to a degree? So like do you guys have a specialized program that you guys are kind of making sure, hey, we're checking on the guys and making sure, hey, we're working on putting today, or do you guys kind of go a little bit more free reins, hands off and say, hey, you should know what you need to fix in your game, or you should know what areas you're struggling with based off of stats of previous tournaments or other things like that.
Yeah, we definitely are a very stat driven program. I mean, I think we use kind of a mix of everything you mentioned. I mean, I would say, I'm definitely more on the structured side of a coach than anything else. I want guys in kind of regularity. I want guys kind of in the same system more or less year round, just so no matter what week we're playing in, whether it's an NCAA regional or one of our first fall events, that kind of every week in the structure leading up to the travel and tournament seems very familiar and the same to the guys. So for us in kind of a given week, we're going to be on the golf course playing probably twice. We're going to do kind of a structure, 2 days of structured practice a week, where that, may look like, set and drills that, myself, my assistant coach will organize for a few hours. And then we'll go to some more individual skill instruction kind of after that. And then, maybe alternate one other day a week and then give the guys the weekends to kind of do what they need, stay in their system. But for our structured days, there's definitely thought put into what we're doing. It's definitely either to kind of what we see in terms of the statistics on what our players need to work on what the team as a whole or our starting five as a whole really needs to improve on, or kind of start preparing our guys for the upcoming tournaments we're going to face. And if there's a fairly specialized skill, or we know there's a higher demand area in kind of the upcoming tournament, be it like driving or having to deal with a certain type of grass and chipping or anything like that, then we may address that specifically in kind of those sessions as well.
And especially kind of towards that last piece is, do you guys have your practice facility set up kind of with that ability of having multiple different grass sets, or having a couple different, whether it be an indoor thing where it's kind of some fall stuff that's put together? Do you guys have access to do things like that?
We do. I mean, we're really fortunate, I think, with all the different golf around us. I mean, we use a variety of courses. It's something I've always done kind of at all the programs that I've been at between Oxy, UCLA, and here at Santa Clara. I think the one very common nature amongst those is you have kind of a school that's built into, a very major city. So there's an element of you're going to kind of move around a little bit more and drive. And I think that gives us a ton of variety in terms of the different practice facilities that we have access to, a variety of different golf courses. So certainly, as we're preparing for different types of whether it's green complexes or different types of grass, we can find a venue, fairly close to us to help us replicate what the visual is going to be or the type of grass we're going to play on. So we try to take advantage of each different practice facility and golf course we use for a specific purpose. We want it to fit kind of what we're coming up, or if we know, we're going to, our Thursday venue, which is often La Rinconada. Rink's got, great access to a very good short game facility, a range that sets up really, really well for a lot of different testing, especially inside of like 225 yards on the range. So that may be a little bit more specialized of a day there. Where if we're at San Jose Country Club, which is our Wednesday venue, San Jose's got, you know, a world class wedge area, and to do a lot more stuff, kind of focusing inside of 100 yards there is going to be a much better fit for that, you know, the use of that facility. So certainly, you know, trying to, you know, use each facility to maximize what it can do for the guys and just get our guys kind of in that same mindset of thinking of, you know, what can I do each day to take advantage of where I'm going, what I need to work on, and just really capitalize on that time.
Heck yeah, that's awesome. And you kind of mentioned it's nice having like that nice city and having the things built around and having all that stuff to where, you know, you have the different courses and hey, boom, you know, we know we're gonna be playing on Bent. We can, you know, we can buzz over here. Or, oh, hey, you know, this is a completely different thing. Let's go over here and get this look. So I like that. That's awesome. Now you mentioned something about you have this knacked and you liked and you started really liking recruiting. What's something you enjoy like when you see a recruit has what are some, you know, kind of unique skills or maybe just some personality traits to a degree that like when you see your recruit you're just like, oh, this is a guy, like, hey, look for this, like that one.
Yeah, I think it's certainly evolved a ton, you know, over, you know, the last several years. I mean, I think, you know, as I've gone kind of further and further, I think early in my career when I was, you know, still probably you know, going to chase a ranking or, you know, a profile more than the right fit necessarily. I think, you know, you're always spending more time trying to convince everyone that, you know, this is the perfect place for them, even if it may not be the right fit for them. And that could be for any variety of reasons, whether it's the amount of structure that I put in, whether it's the academic demands of the school, kind of being in a city is not for everybody. And like, you know, we don't run from it anymore in recruiting. We're just like, we drive. None of our drives are crazy, but it's a part of college golf. And if, you know, being in a car bugs you, it's definitely not going to be the place for you. So I think as we go through this now, it's finding people that this institution is genuinely the right fit for them, that they're going to love the school and the community as well as the area and our alumni as much as being a part of this team and working, you know, with me as a coach. I think it's, you know, finding that, and then kids that aren't afraid of kind of the leadership trait of this, that they want to come in and that, you know, they want to go do this for the entire group, that to some degree, even though, you know, they need to go develop or they want to, you know, be as a player to hopefully go become a tour pro later in their career, that they also want to see the team achieve and that they're willing to go push their teammates and work with their teammates, and do everything there. And then kids that aren't afraid of a certain level of accountability and harder conversations. I mean, you know, we'll do them here in the next few days to wrap up the season, get into, you know, our kind of bi-weekly individual player meetings. And this week will be a little bit more focused on summer and kind of what we need to do for next fall. But for the guys, if you don't want to have a pretty honest conversation when it's both good and bad, it's not going to be a very comfortable place for you. So kids that, you know, they're willing to look at themselves in the mirror and hear the hard thing, but know that even when we tell them the hard truths and the hard things, that, you know, we'll sit here with them and help get them better in the long term, and we'll work through any of those issues with them.
Yeah, I know that's a big piece is that's the main piece with golf is you have to be accountable because I feel so many players fall into that where they, you know, they can hit a driver fantastic and they'll end up on the drive, you know, out on the driving range falling into this, oh, well, you know, I'm searching for tempo and they're hitting 8 irons and drivers and they're out here just trying to say, oh, well, you know, I'm looking for it, you know, I'm a little off. Oh, I just need to find this. And it's like, well, what you should be doing is you should be hitting 5 foot putts because you should be at least 50%, but you're at 33%. Why don't you go hit some putts? Well, you know, I might get that one. No, you should go hit some putts. And having that accountability is definitely hard. I know I fell into that trap to a degree. That's why I was so accurate with the story. I've never been there before. So people don't like to see the bad, but we understand that. So let's look at the positive side of it, though. What things are you excited about coming up in this summer? And then what things are you excited about in as we come into the next fall season? And then even going forward from that into the next spring and the next 3 years. So
Yeah, I mean, I think going to the summer, to be honest, a little bit of time off, which would be nice here. I mean, we're still going to be pretty busy. I mean, we'll have, even in the next couple of weeks, you know, we're still in school. Guys got to go finish up finals, and then we'll wrap guys. We have two guys going to U.S. Open sectionals in like 10 days.
Nice.
Got to right back to work kind of with them, make sure they're prepared for that. And then, the Earn a Piper, which is an amateur event here at San Jose Country Club, a lot of our guys will play in, and we'll be around them as well. And then I think we have like 7 guys in the Cal State AM up at Granite Bay, which is a club that's actually the head pro is a Santa Clara guy as well. So we'll have, our guys up there and right into recruiting season. So I think it's for us, continuing to really just the exciting thing, I think, is following the guys and being such a young team is just seeing how they kind of do on their own and where they are out through the summer. I think we have a lot of guys that'll spread out a little bit more nationally this summer to go play bigger summer tournaments and continue to develop. So I think really seeing, how the guys do, on their own, how they develop this summer is really, really exciting. And then going into next fall, I can't wait to get the group back on campus, frankly. I mean, we're going to graduate 3 seniors here in a few weeks. Certainly we'll miss them. But, in that group there, Alvaro, one of our grad seniors is the only one that's really, gotten the chance to have significant playing time this school year. So, of the, 6 players we just took to the NCAA regionals, we'll bring back 5. And of those 5, 4 underclassmen, which we'll have here for the next 2 years. We have one, great transfer coming in as a grad senior that I'll have a chance to kind of replace Alvaro right away, as well as 2 freshmen who I think are easily capable of jumping in and helping, immediately. So really just seeing, how this team can build off of the success we've had this year and in the next few years for us. I think, the goal is going to be, go compete at the highest level nationally. I mean, you're going to bring a team together that you keep that whole core together for, 2+ seasons, and they'll have a chance to develop together. And when you look at, improving, 60 spots nationally this year to like 45th in the country, getting to an NCAA regional and then just continuing to bring back that whole team for the future, I think that's, pretty fun and exciting. We'll have some great trips and some cool things coming up next fall as well, which the guys are really excited about. But for me, it's really just continuing to follow their maturation and their growth and seeing, how they continue to get better and better as a player and individually, which will lead to, continued success and continued growth on the course for them as a team as well.
That is exciting. And having those guys be able to not only already kind of have a little bit of that taste and a little bit of the big light experience to then be able to come back next year already knowing and expecting like, yep, we did that. We now know where we're at and now we're going to keep climbing up the board. Now how do we continue to execute on that? Okay, these are the things, let's hammer down on this. Okay, let's continue working forward here. That's I mean, I bet there are probably some nights where you're probably just like laying there kind of like, oh man, if we just did one thing and then next when all right, so fall, we're here, and then we're here, and then coming up we've got this, we're gonna be here. Like I can imagine there's gotta be some element of just like, hey, I'm trying to get some rest, but I can't because I know what's on the horizon. That sounds awesome.
For
We're gonna
sure. I think
stay.
these guys,
Go for it.
I
Go for
say
it.
for that, for us, I mean, coming off a week where just some weird weather and just, things just didn't go away at the NCAA regionals and getting to match play at WCCs and having a chance, to be in the Final Four and, be, one match away from competing for a championship there. We want the spring to be here already next year, but we'll take it step by step and get through the fall and just continue to grow and see if we can't put ourselves back in those positions this time next year.
Heck yeah. Heck yeah. And that's the key that you said though. Step by step and doing that. Now, we're going to go to a buzzword for some folks these days because I mean, it is the 20th, May 20th, and we know what's going to be coming out in the next few days in terms of the NIL. What are some things that you've ran into with that? What are some I guess well, this is where we can kind of go good and bad. I'll let you jump in with whatever side you want to go with first. Because I know that there's a lot that comes with it, but how has that affected your program?
Yeah, I mean it's a space that's not, I would say, like crazy prevalent in golf yet. Certainly not to the extent of football or basketball or anything right now. I'd say the bigger component of it all, kind of what's coming down the pipeline, is trying to figure out what the class action for the house settlement is going to be, and some of the roster limits and some of that when they're coming. If they're coming, what this new grandfathering and proposal, what all that's going to look like, because that'll change the makeup of the size of roster, certainly. I mean, I've always carried a bigger roster, even though we are going to kind of graduate out naturally to be smaller, with or without the house settlement. But rosters, nationally, we're probably closer to like 10 and a half guys. And eventually, when this all comes, will be 9 guys. So rosters, being smaller, I think changes a little bit more. The NIL space a little bit, just to across college athletics, not just golf. I think to see that space be a little bit more regulated, I think would be great, just because it is still kind of the Wild West and it's out there, and you start hearing just random stories about this kid's getting X even though he may not be getting, or money's not being fulfilled, or just all kinds of crazy things. So I think for the best interest of the players, certainly to continue to have that be a little bit more regulated nationally, so everyone's on the same page, they're getting taken care of fairly and all of that. I think that's really kind of what I hope would be next. And certainly right now, I kind of like the position that college golf is in, from terms of all the college sports, maybe more than others. So luckily we haven't been affected too much, and hopefully it'll be a market that continues just to stabilize and get even better as it goes forward.
Yeah, I think that's the other thing there is it's like kind of, hey, what, like there's like, is there rules? Are there not rules? Well, there kind of are rules. Well, they're not enforceable, and then are they even rules? Yeah, Wild West is the perfect way to put it, and I like that phrase and terminology for it even better, because it it's something that has like a lot of really great potential, but then of course anything with that sizable amount of potential, you look at on the exact flip side and like, ooh, like this can really go one way or the other if it gets out of hand. And so of course being able to contain it and shape it and do it in the right way definitely helps. So more or less on your side, what things are you kind of looking forward to for yourself in these next kind of, we'll call it 12 to 48 months to a degree, so next year, 4 or 5 years, what things are you kind of excited about for yourself? What things are you kind of doing? You say you were able to get the kids dropped off on time, everything's was rocking and rolling, we're good to go. Let's kind of go for you a little bit. Let's what things are you kind of looking forward to for yourself and kind of excited about?
Yeah, that's a great question. I mean, I think for me, it's continuing just to see. Um, I guess I would call it like the fruits of the labor of kind of building the infrastructure here at Santa Clara. I mean, I think this year was, for a lot of reasons, very fulfilling, on what we did on and off the course. I mean, just to, be able to go see like a former player and like a Matt McCarty, who I got for a year and graduated, and still maintain a relationship with on the course. Go out and get one of his dreams checked off, or a couple of his dreams checked off, and win on the PGA Tour. Earn his PGA Tour card, do all of that, play in a Masters, play great in a Masters. We opened up a golf facility on campus early this fall that our players have had access to, all year, and just their enjoyment and use of that space, I think, has been awesome. I mean, I think it's been paid off a ton in terms of giving them extra reps and development and all of that. But I think, that's probably the biggest thing as you continue to, build a program and spend time, going recruiting and putting in the infrastructure and all of that, is just seeing what comes of that product. So for me, getting, the guys to, continue to, buy in, but to go accomplish what they want individually and as a team, I think that's probably, the thing, we would look forward to the most. I mean, our alumni have been incredibly supportive, and seeing, us kind of fulfill their vision of what, what this program could be as well, and getting kind of everyone to the same page nationally, I think would be, over the next, 2 years or 2 seasons, what I think, we'll look forward to the most as a coaching staff.
Heck yeah. Well, coach, I don't want to take up too much of your time. I know you maintain a very busy schedule and things are, rock and rolling in a coach's world all the time. So I appreciate you taking the time, but I want to leave kind of, this is a nice open-ended question. It's not really even a question. It's more of just like a, hey, here's a open-ended space for you to put whatever you want to put into it. So like, whether, hey, this is how people can find you, something as a closing message to people maybe listening, whether recruits or maybe other players, maybe older, like, it's just an open space for you. Go for it.
Yeah, wow. I would say right now, and it's kind of the day and age in the world, and with everything going on, and just with some, call it like doubt with the transfer portal, or with roster limits. Just I would encourage everyone just to have patience. I think it's probably the biggest thing in golf that I've continued to learn throughout my career, and just both as a coach and certainly as a player is just great things take time, and everyone will find the right fit. Things work out the way they're meant to work out. It's certainly something we've seen with how our rosters come together here at Santa Clara. The right people get to the right place. So I would just say for everyone out there, just take your time, find your right fit, have patience, and just kind of have trust that you're going to end up in the right place ultimately. And, the good things take care of themselves.
And as golf teaches you in multitude of different ways, patience is always the answer. Take a breath, relax. It's going to be fine. Just breathe. Find what to do in the meantime. It's going to be fine. So, Coach, again, thank you so much for taking the time. Like, I can't thank you enough because, again, I know how busy you guys are. So I appreciate it. And we're definitely going to have to do this again. I'll be keeping my eyes on you guys next year. So good luck to you. And we'll talk to you soon. I appreciate it.
Thanks. Appreciate you having me.
And that is Coach Andrew with Santa Clara. That's it for us today on Switch Up. We'll talk to you on the next one.